Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolute masterclass in future-proofing transport operations through structured electric vehicle migration. We're going to be looking at a highly strategic blueprint from the ISO group. It takes the totally chaotic, overwhelming prospect of transitioning an entire fleet to electric mobility and turns it into a predictable, step-by-step pathway to actual success. If you're a fleet owner, well, you already know the future is electric. But getting there without bankrupting your operations or, honestly, losing your sanity, that's the real puzzle. Okay, let's dive into this and start dismantling these complexities piece by piece.
Our strategic roadmap today covers 5 key areas. First up, the real EV challenge. Then, bridging the gap. Following that is the core of our whole strategy, the 11 stages of success. And finally, we'll wrap up with real value for everyone and why you literally must pilot before you scale. Just to ground us immediately in reality, we aren't talking about abstract pie-in-the-sky concepts here. This is about the localized, boots-on-the-ground operational reality of the minibus taxi industry and highly complex public transport networks. The future of public transport has fundamentally changed. We're talking about electric vehicles, ultra-fast charging, and a totally new mobility economy. But recognizing the future is one thing, actually migrating thousands of independent, hard-working operators into that future, that is incredibly complex.
So Section 1, the real EV challenge, a fragmented decision.
Right now, operators are facing a massively fragmented decision. They aren't just buying a new van, right? They're being asked to evaluate brand new vehicle technologies, entirely new energy sources, unfamiliar charging behaviors, and completely different finance assumptions, literally all at the exact same time. It's enough to paralyze even the most experienced fleet owner out there. So the crucial point is this foundational truth of the ISO Group framework. The industry does not need another EV sales pitch. Electric vehicles are just not a simple one-to-one swap for diesel vehicles. You can't just buy an EV, park it where you used to park your diesel taxi, and hope for the best. The transition requires a grounded, bottom-line focus where affordability and operational reality come first, not flashy vehicle showrooms.
Because if you treat this like a standard, run-of-the-mill vehicle purchase, you're going to run into some pretty terrifying questions. Like, which vehicle can actually complete the real, grueling daily operating cycle of a commercial fleet? What happens when the vehicle doesn't have the range? Or what if the local charger's broken? Or when the finance application flat out fails because the lender just doesn't understand the asset? When any single link in that chain breaks, the operator's livelihood is literally on the line. We need a structured solution to prevent these failures before they ever even happen.
Which brings us to Section 2, bridging the gap, independent coordination.
Look, there's this massive, chaotic gap right now between organizations that desperately want EVs and the specialized parties, grid operators, financiers, charging installers, required to actually deliver them. It's like trying to cross a highway blindfolded. There are 2 starkly different approaches to bridging this gap. On one side, we have fragmented decision-making. This is where individual members try to figure out EVs completely on their own, meaning they carry all the financial and operational risk entirely by themselves. Yikes. On the other side, we have coordinated migration. By coordinating the institutional journey before anyone tries to scale vehicle acquisition, you aggregate demand, you gain collective negotiating power, and you dramatically mitigate the risk.
The operating philosophy here is simple: evidence over promises. Absolutely no operating savings or finance approvals are guaranteed before a verified diagnostic takes place. Everything has to be proven first. Affordability and vehicle suitability must be tested against actual, real-world route lengths, passenger loads, shift patterns, and charging windows. If the math doesn't work on paper using your fleet's actual data, you don't buy the vehicle. It's that simple. Proving this on paper first is exactly why a structured, stage-by-stage approach is the only way to survive the transition.
Let's dive into Section 3, the 11 stages of success, a structured migration. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how moving methodically through these macro phases guarantees you resilience.
This is the core engine that ensures success. It takes a monumentally complex process and organizes it into 3 methodical macro phases: prepare, match, and deploy. Let's break down Phase 1, prepare. By establishing a rigorous baseline through diagnosis, building a true business case, and assessing readiness, all the heavy lifting is done up front. This is exactly how you ensure you don't accidentally buy a vehicle your business just can't support. Stage 3 activates the program mandates, and Stage 4 mobilizes the participants. Closing critical business, compliance, and finance gaps in this foundational phase is what prevents downstream disasters.
Next up is Phase 2, match. This stage ensures success by taking the exact operating cycle we just uncovered and configuring custom solutions to fit it perfectly. It's all about matching vehicles and warranties in Stage 6, securing that vital finance coordination in Stage 7, and, this is absolutely crucial, verifying charging readiness in Stage 8. Seriously, you must have a verified plan for home, depot, rank, and public charging before a vehicle ever even arrives on the lot.
Finally, we reach Phase 3, Deploy. Stage 9 is a highly controlled pilot deployment, which we'll dig into more in just a second. Only after the pilot succeeds do we hit Stage 10, Full Migration, where we handle delivery, induction, and integration. But the journey doesn't just end when the keys are handed over, right? Stage 11 is ongoing aftercare. We're talking continuously tracking vehicle uptime and energy usage. This constant feedback loop is the secret sauce that ensures long-term operational success. Now, to make those 11 stages actually work in the real world, the framework relies on one absolutely non-negotiable principle: the gate rule. A participant can only advance to the next step when the applicable stage gate is 100% complete. No shortcuts. This strict progression rule prevents out-of-sequence work. It actively protects members from having finance applications pushed through or charging infrastructure built before the foundational business case and readiness checks are completely signed off.
Moving on to Section 4, Real Value for Everyone. So, what actually happens when you follow those 11 stages perfectly? Well, you generate tangible, real-world economics. This model isn't just about getting shiny new vans on the road. It's about fundamentally improving the business model for everyone involved. And this brilliantly illustrates that point. For individual members, they get a fit-for-purpose migration because their specific routes are tested. They get totally transparent economics because all total cost of ownership scenarios are laid out clear as day. They gain collective access to much better partner deals through aggregated demand, and they're guided through finance readiness. In short, they secure evidence-based operating savings and drastically lower their transition risk. But it's not just the members. The association leadership wins massively too. The framework converts the association from being just a passive introducer into an active institutional organizer. This opens up defined revenue channels attached to real, auditable work. They can earn allocations from program activation, mobilizing verified members, participant intake, coordinating the deployments, recurring aftercare services, and get this, even participating in the economics of charging sites on their own land. It's a real game changer.
However, there is a very strict rule regarding this revenue: absolute financial transparency. Association income is tied exclusively to those defined program functions we just looked at. It is never, ever earned from hidden additions or secret markups to the member's vehicle price. Member protection is absolutely paramount here. All fees and any association allocations must be fully disclosed to the operator before a single payment or commitment is ever made.
Okay, Section 5. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final concept. Pilot before you scale. Prove the economics. Even with the absolute best preparation, the 11-stage blueprint demands that you test your assumptions in the real world before committing the entire institution to a massive financial overhaul. This relies on 4 forward momentum phases. First up, discover, validating the demand and the economics on paper. Second, pilot, deploying a small, highly controlled, representative cohort of vehicles to measure real outcomes on actual roads. Third, adjust, correcting your vehicle, finance, or charging assumptions based on that hard data. Actually, scratch that, based on undeniable evidence. And only then, Phase 4, scale, running repeatable cohorts and rolling out institutional migration. During that critical pilot phase, what exactly are we tracking? Well, it's not just about seeing if the wheels turn. We rigorously measure energy cost per kilometer against your baseline. Uptime and maintenance are put under a total microscope, along with daily range and the dreaded downtime. Finally, we check finance conversion rates and reconcile the association income. If these metrics don't prove operational continuity and financial viability, you do not scale, period. Which leaves us with this final, vital question to really ponder. What must be true for your fleet or your association to migrate to electric mobility without sacrificing affordability, uptime, or institutional value? The future of transport, it won't wait. But as we've seen today, success isn't about jumping in blindly. It's about structured, stage-gated preparation. The 11-stage blueprint is your ultimate insurance policy for a successful migration. Now it's up to you to navigate it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Catch you next time.